Hi everyone, Aiden here with etrailer. Today we're taking a look at the Thule Helium Platform XT on our 2020 Toyota RAV4. The Helium is going to be a platform style bike rack like the name suggests. It's going to hold the bike in these trays and by our wheels. We've got a dual wheel mount design here holding the bike by each tire. That means zero frame contact, making it good for carbon frame and alternative frame bikes. And it does have a 45-pound weight capacity per bike, so not the best option for e-bikes. I think overall it works fairly okay on the RAV4, although there are some concerning fitment issues that we'll point out as the video goes on, but just know that kind of going into it. It does have the ability to tilt away with the bikes loaded though, so if we need access to the hatch, we can get it. There's a handle underneath the bike rack that I can squeeze, lower it down, and it does come very low to the ground here. If I had a second bike loaded up, it would be very hard for me to crouch down with this. So that's something to kind of be mindful of. And as I open up the back hatch, you'll see with this handlebar on a large mountain bike, it's very close to the point where we almost thought it wasn't going to clear, but there is about ½ inch, maybe a finger's width of space in there. So it does clear, and if you've got a bike that's smaller than this, you'll be fine. But that was something that we noticed because of how close it sits to the vehicle. The bike also sits close to the vehicle. But with it, you still have room to get to the back if you need anything, or sit back there to change your shoes before or after a ride. Now lifting this back up, you'll hear a click, letting us know it's locked back in. I do like to point out that we have built-in cable locks on each tray. There's one on either end, so we can make sure that the bikes get locked up to the rack and they're nice and secure. Getting the bike unloaded is pretty straightforward. We've got handles at the top that we can squeeze to release the arms. Just give them a pull inward before you squeeze, and then you can push out. If you try to just squeeze the handle while it's ratcheted down like that, chances are it's not going to go anywhere. So just give a little bit of inward pressure to kind of relieve that, and then lower it down. And from here, you can just take the bike off. And because those arms open up really however wide you need them to, everything is completely open. There's nothing in your way when you're loading and unloading, so it's really easy to do. And then you can just push the arms down when you're done. Now, one thing I do really like about it is the ratcheting mechanism. You can hear a lot of those tiny clicks, really fine-tuning adjustment to make sure the bike gets secured. The one thing that is a downside, though, is that these wheel hoops aren't adjustable. So if you have a smaller bike, maybe a kid's bike, you can't adjust this to smaller tire sizes. And from here, let's get some measurements. The first one being our ground clearance. There is a small rise in the shank, giving us about 14.5 inches of clearance at the back end. I'd say it's pretty good, and probably shouldn't have to worry about it too much for most situations. Our distance added to the back is going to be coming in right about 25 inches. So it doesn't add too much to the back when it's like this, and you can save some space by folding it up. Now here's where some of those issues kind of come into play. As I'm folding it up, it's not touching the bumper right now, but there is a little bit of movement in the bike rack, and this very bottom arm, if it is in like this, is barely, and I mean barely, touching the back bumper. That is one of those things that because it makes contact, it doesn't set me at ease, and I have a hard time recommending it because over time that could cause wear and tear on your vehicle or the bike rack. So if you do plan on leaving this in the hitch at all times and having it folded up, it's going to make contact. If you only ever want to put it in the hitch when you are carrying bikes, then maybe that's not a concern for you. But in this state, it does take up less room, only sticking out 8 inches. So it does sit very condensed against the back of the vehicle. And if you maybe just need to fold it every now and again to fit into a parking space or your garage at home, then it should be okay. Now, with all that being said, down at the bottom, we've got our anti-rattle knob built right into the bike rack. It's going to keep things nice and solid in the hitch so nothing there moves around or shakes. And it is locking, key to the cable locks up top to make sure that the bike rack stays secured in the hitch. At the hitch, it's working with our 2" by 2" receiver tube, but it will work with engine accorder as well by removing that adapter sleeve. And rather than a standard hitch pin, It uses this stinger style that auto latches into the hitch pin hole, so when you are taking it in and out of the hitch, it's very easy to do, and the whole bike rack's really lightweight too. So again, if you don't want to deal with this clearance issue, it is easy to take in and out of the hitch, so that is a problem that can be solved. Overall, the Helium's a nice bike rack. I just don't think it's the best fit for the RAV4 here. I'd maybe consider looking into the Rocky Mounts guide rail. It's a very similar bike rack, holds the bike pretty much the same way. It's just built a little bit stronger, and I've noticed over time with many vehicles, there's less clearance issues with it. Either way you go though, I think it's going to be a pretty okay fit for the RAV4, and it is going to be a nice bike rack. Thanks for watching.